Dale,
Yes.
I have a really important question.
What's that then?
How do you measure a snake?
I don't know, Sarah. How do you measure a snake?
In inches, because they don't have any feet.
Oof.
Terrible.
Also, what does an exhibitionist snake wear to the beach?
I don't know. What does an exhibitionist snake wear to the beach?
A python.
Oh, I got one for you. What do you call a snake that builds houses?
I don't know. What do you call a snake that builds houses?
A boa constructor.
Oh! We have to get our coach. We're going to stop there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Shuntcast. I'm here, Dale is here, and we have a Robert Cowan.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing this evening, Robert?
I'm doing quite well. I always love doing podcasts. They're fun. I don't have to actually do my hair to be on video, so it's nice.
This is why I do not do video on this. The audience do not need to see my Sunday evening mum look. They're very grateful. So we don't muck about on the Shuntcast. We are going to get straight into the fights. First up, we have Valkyrie versus Quantum. And my thoughts on this are that Valkyrie took Quantum's tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth. I'm so sorry. I was quite worried for Quantum actually when Valkyrie was upside down, because I thought they were going to like chop its whole head off, and then Quantum would have had to join Nelly in the I got my face smashed in club. So, but that didn't happen. So well done, Quantum. They got the KO on Valkyrie. They got them stuck in the screws so tightly that the screws couldn't actually reverse, which was that's going to cause a screw gate, me think.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Quantum showed some toothless aggression. Yeah, no, it was unlucky for Valkyrie, but obviously Quantum done what they needed to do to win. So yeah, pretty good fight.
This is one of those fights that easily could have gone either way. And when Valkyrie started going upside down, I think they kind of should have started upside down. But, you know, of course, everyone has advice for every other team. But yeah, once it started hitting up high, there's if you look closely, you can see that it did catch the top of the arm, jaw, head, whatever the thing is. So yeah, it could have gone either way, and it was just interesting how it turned out. But yeah, it was a good fight.
I enjoyed it watching it from the pits, but I enjoyed it even more watching it on TV.
Yeah, agreed.
Awesome. We're going to move on to Whoa, Duck Yeti, Bambalam. Whoa, Duck Yeti, Bambalam. I'm sorry. I'll get my coat. I want to know, did they employ a real duck to operate the lifter? Because I don't know whether it was because Yeti is so heavy, but it seemed like every time that they got underneath Yeti and went to use the lifter kind of stayed pinned to the floor and the whole robot moved. So yeah, is it because Yeti is that heavy, or I don't know, or it was just that did they have a real duck operating the lifter? What do you think, Robert? Was it a duck, or was it Yeti's really heavy?
I don't think any robot here is greater than 250 pounds, so I don't think it has to do anything with the weight. But I think what was trying to happen is if you watch the match, towards the end of it, I think like the last 30 seconds, you saw Duck flailing a lot more. And I think Hal knew that they were going to lose to a judge's decision unless they showed some damage. So I think it was just a matter of flailing around to try and get that beak into something to cause some sort of damage. I think that's all it was. It was just a flailing attempt to try and do some damage.
That makes sense, to be fair.
Yeah.
Dale, what did you think?
Well, Robert pretty much summed it up as well as I could do it, so I just repeat what he said.
Robert's a professional roboteer and Dale isn't. I'm not going to say I'm a professional roboteer at this point, because I would have salty boys correcting me. Well, actually. So there we go. We will move on to Lockjaw versus Scorpios. I love this fight because of the wholesomeness of it. I was next to Scorpios in the pit, and I knew how excited that Zach was for this fight. You know, as they said on the TV, Donald Hudson is one of Zach's robot heroes. So, I mean, fighting your robot heroes is always great, no matter what the result. And Scorpios did kind of get bullied by Lockjaw in this fight, but if you're going to get bullied, you're going to get bullied by one of your heroes. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's Donald doing what he does best, driving well. Yeah, when the one of the commentators said about it, it was like a one-sided fight, but it went almost the whole distance.
I mean, okay, the fight didn't go his way, but he still put up nearly a 3-minute fight against Lockjaw, and given it's his hero, that's the way to do it. Did you enjoy this fight, Robert?
Oh yeah, this was probably one of my favorite of the night. Me being a relatively new person to combat robots, like I've only been doing this, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 years, something like that.
Amateur.
Huh? Oh yeah. I'm a baby. I'm a baby in this sport. I'm pretty new to it. So I'm kind of more on the Zachary camp, to where I'm looking up to all these people as well, and I totally understand that. You just want to fight the people you want to fight, and it doesn't matter about winning or losing. So that was really cool to see, and I think even though everyone talks about Donald Hudson being such a good driver, it's still interesting to see him drive. I still think he's a little bit underestimated. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see him in the test box, but I mean, that guy was just doing like zigzags and going to each corner and one corner and then back. And he's a really solid driver. And I think that showed in this fight. He just owned Scorpios the whole first half.
Yeah, he did. And Zach is not a bad driver at all. Zach is an amazing driver himself. So the fact that Lockjaw was running rings around Zach is a feat in itself. I mean, and Zach can take that home as well.
Yep, agreed.
I mean, they were so excited. I mean, we were next to them in the pits, and Diana came over to me. She was like, "Oh my God, we have Lockjaw! Oh my God, Zach is so stoked!" And it was lovely. I was feeling it for them, and like I said to the team, when that fight comes on, I don't care what I'm doing or how broken Nelly is at this point. I am watching that fight because I'm gonna root for Zach. The Scorpios team was so good to us throughout the whole of filming that we were very overwhelmed noobs, and the Scorpios team were absolutely lovely to us. We sort of forgot to bring a transformer, which when you're British and you bring your electrical equipment to America is not helpful. And so we were borrowing a lot of stuff off those guys, and they were just, all of them, Orion, Zach, Diana, Jen in particular, were just, they were amazing. So I was very, very invested in this fight. I was rooting for Zach so much, but at the same time, I had the knowledge that he was going to come out of that fight happy no matter what, because it was fighting his hero.
Oh yeah.
So I'm waffling, though. We will move on to the Rakening. It was Hypershock versus Huge, and we saw the return of the Rake. I have an important question, which we're obviously going to take very seriously, because I'm known for asking very sensible, important questions. Is getting your rake caught in your spinner the robot equivalent of getting your trouser snake caught in your zipper?
You just repeated the same thing twice. I didn't understand. You just said the same thing twice. What are you talking about?
Sorry,
It's the exact same thing. There's zero difference.
This is literally, when I saw that, I was like, is that like getting your doom hammer caught in your zipper?
The end of my one looked the same as well as a rake. I mean, what?
Oh dear. I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't have a trouser snake. But this fight didn't go very well for Will, did it? The rake was his undoing.
Right.
I think Will was Will's undoing. I think that's usually the case.
Oh dear. Oh no, I was actually sad for this fight, because Hypershock and Huge are both robots that I love, and knowing that one of them would go to the top 16 and one of them wouldn't made me quite sad. But at the same time, I loved how the fight turned out, and it was hilarious that the Rake got stuck in the spinner. The Rake now has a 50% win-loss record. True story. Dale, did you enjoy this fight?
Well, yeah, it's Hypershock, it's Will, it's Rake. Of course, I loved it.
It's got everything Dale needs in a fight. Robert, what about you?
This was one of those fights that, I'm sorry, Will. I'm really sorry. I wish he would have left the rakes at home. I think the rakes added that level of complexity that made him kind of not focus on the actual fight at hand. Huge, with any of the bots out there, Huge is the one that you really need some kind of solid plan going into, because it's the only bot out there that just hits differently. It's not really a hammer because it actually has some pretty good force to it from the top. No offense to hammers, but it's just an interesting, weird bot to fight. And I've fought Huge a few times in the smaller weight classes, and it's always a tricky bot to go up against. And I think the rakes just kind of added that extra level of complexity that just wasn't needed here. And I think that's what ended up putting Will at a loss here.
I have to agree with you because at last year's featherweight championships, I had the first incarnation of Nelly, and I fought Tom Brewster's Straddle, which is essentially a featherweight Huge.
Yeah.
And out of all the robots at Battlebots this season, Huge was the one I was genuinely scared of fighting. I mean, everybody says, they're scared of fighting Tombstone or Bite Force or stuff like that. I mean, I willingly fought Deep Six. So we've established I'm not scared of spinners. I would happily be put in the arena with Tombstone or Bite Force, because what's the point of showing up to Battlebots if you're not prepared to fight one of those guys, right?
Yep.
But Huge is the one I would be genuinely terrified to fight, because its spinner is chewing up my lem no matter how well I protect it. Because that exact thing, minus the lem, because I don't have a lem in a featherweight, obviously. But that happened to me at the featherweight champs. It was just an exhibition match, and it was at the end of the competition. So Tom and I both went for it tooth and nail, and he KO'd my axe mechanism very quickly. I took the win though, because his drive didn't last. But yeah, it did some serious damage, and yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from there. I'm waffling again though. I'm so sorry. We're going to move on to Railgun Max versus Bloodsport versus Uppercut. I loved the standoff at the beginning of this fight, where everyone was kind of unsure who to go for first. There was a nice little bit there. I'm gutted for Railgun Max though, because they got this amazing Uta on Bloodsport, which was a spectacular hit, but it injured themselves pretty badly in doing so, and eventually Uppercut got the win. I mean, kudos to Uppercut. They outlasted. They did some damage themselves as well. But yeah, I was gutted for Railgun Max though. What about you, Dale?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite lucky for Uppercut. I got a dab of luck.
Oh.
Yeah, no, but yeah, just like I say, just lucky for them, because Bloodsport could have won that if they hadn't got out of the arena, but you never know what would have happened. But like I say, got lucky and they won. So
it was the first of two Utas on this episode.
Yeah.
Not that Robert would know anything about the second one, but we haven't got there yet. Robert, did you enjoy this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I did and I didn't, right? As soon as Railgun Max hit Bloodsport, I definitely had some of those flashbacks of the Kronos Copperhead fight, if either of you guys remember that.
Oh, we remember that. You won a good hit award for that one. We definitely remember that one.
Yeah, it was that same kind of thing, to where, almost flipped though, because Bloodsport got knocked out of the arena, and that was cool. But it really did so much damage to Railgun Max that they might as well have been out. You wish you could have flipped it. You wish Bloodsport could have still been in it, and Railgun Max could have crap walked outside the arena or whatever. But it was one of those unfortunates to where one hit kind of knocks out both bots, and that was unfortunate. And then, Uppercut just got the upper hand.
Oh, yeah. That's the last time we're having him on the show, Dale. What? Coming in here, stealing our puns. God. Bloody Americans.
That's what we do.
What, go to other countries and steal their puns?
Oh, yeah. Proud history of that.
Oh, dear. We will move on to Rotator versus Blacksmith. And, ooh, Oh, this was spicy. Al Kindle won a judge's decision. Don't faint, everyone. Don't faint. Is everyone okay? You all okay? You good?
Yeah.
You all good. Awesome. This fight was great, though. It had me on the edge of my seat pretty much the whole way through. Considering Al's weapon wasn't working, he kept up the aggression and the control and really gave an admirable effort in this. And yeah, goodness me, the judges went with Al. I mean, when they said it was unanimous, I was like, oh, here we go. Poor Al. But oh, they went for him.
I'm so torn on this one. Rotator, I think if anything is inconsistent, right? Because we saw them absolutely destroy Tombstone, or okay, not destroy Tombstone, but go the 3 minutes with Tombstone. That was cool. But then they got absolutely destroyed by Death Roll, which, fair enough, Death Roll is on a roll this year. But then, yeah, I know. But then, with Blacksmith, they really weren't able to do a whole lot. And I think this was one of those weird ones where I don't think the judging makes sense either way. Because Blacksmith definitely had control, definitely had aggression. Rotator was just kind of spinning its wheels. But yeah, I know, these are all terrible. But at the same time, Rotator's the only one that did any damage with the primary weapon. So I think either way, the judge's decision would have made sense.
I think the way I interpreted it was, I think Rotator got the damage points, which is 3 points, if I'm correct.
Yep.
But they got nothing for control and nothing for aggression, so that makes the remaining 4 points go to Blacksmith. Because I don't know if you noticed, but Rotator's drive went out fairly early. I think it was about halfway through the match, and I think it was less noticeable because Al kept up the aggression, and if Blacksmith had left it there for a bit, that would have been more obvious. So yeah, I think if I've got that correctly, that's how the scoring works with this fight.
Yeah, it's always hard to judge aggression, though, because did Rotator run away from Blacksmith? No. So, at what point is aggression aggression? Is aggression just simply sticking in the fight? Because, how many times have we seen a bot just actively run away? I think that's like a negative aggression point. But at no point was Rotator really backing off. So I don't know. It's a tough call. You could have given 1 point to Rotator for aggression, but I think it was a fine call. I don't think I disagree with it. It was just a tough fight to call.
I think I'd agree with you there. I think if it had gone to Rotator, I could have seen how it would go to Rotator because, yeah, like you say, 1 control point in it, possibly.
Yeah.
Dale, what did you think?
Yeah, again, Robert just kind of summed it up as well as I would do. I mean, I disagreed with the decision myself, but as I say, judges were only just. I mean, like I say, they just needed like 1 or 2 points after they got the damage point. Rotator needed, just 1 or 2 control and aggression points. I feel that got that, but obviously, judges saw it different, so fair enough.
I feel like Al Kindle is going to love you less after this podcast.
I'll live with it.
I don't know how much love Al Kindle has for things, so.
Shall I let you in on a little secret?
Oh, of course.
So there was a lot of talk prior to Battlebots filming among Roboteers who shall remain nameless that Nelly didn't deserve to be on the show because it was a gimmick bot and people thought we'd show up and we wouldn't be working. But hey, we proved those guys wrong. And Al Kindle, after filming, messaged me on Facebook to tell me that as a Roboteer, I had earned his respect because I showed up with a working robot despite all the hate. And my robot worked. It only stopped working when it got KO'd. And we were reliable. So there's that. And I will take that. I as a Roboteer, I have the respect of Al Kindle. I don't for anything else, to be fair. He can't stand me otherwise. I make far too many memes about him, but he has such a memeable face. But we are on to your fight, Robert. Son of Waiachi versus Copperhead. You're the second Uta of the night. So I have to ask you, how does it feel to be flung out of the arena by a helicopter?
It feels really good. The thing about combat robots in general is what's the point of doing this, right? Is the point to win? Maybe. The point of this is to spin something up really fast and run it into something else and see what happens. And we did that. So whether it was us out of the arena or Waiachi out of the arena, it's a good show. Stuff went bang. Everyone's happy.
Right. I mean, I've in my Battlebots history not yet won a fight, but my fights have been remembered.
Yeah.
And
A memorable fight is better.
I completely agree with this. I mean, I also don't have the win record to claim that I'm in it to win it. So it's too expensive to be in it to win it. I do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
I love smashing stuff up. I haven't yet smashed stuff up that wasn't my own, but I'm working on that.
It takes practice. You got to start with yourself, work on yourself first, and then you can work on other people. So yeah, it's just, you got to internalize it first.
Right, and don't rely on pokey sticks stuck on with gaffer tape.
Truth.
So I have to admit, so Zach was driving for this fight, right?
Yep.
So were you on the weapon then?
No, Zach doesn't like doing the dual controller thing. He likes to either completely control it or completely not control it. So yeah, we only do the one radio thing. So I was just watching. I was just patting his back and rubbing his shoulders.
Aw, I have visions of you massaging Zach now. Oh dear, I'm not weird, honestly. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, Copperhead didn't go out in one hit. It wasn't a one-hit wonder fight like a lot of Son of Waiachi's fights are. You can take that home. And the gyro driving is lovely as well. I love that. I think that shows off driver's ability, actually. So we'll give Zach some kudos for that.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say this was your favourite fight of the season that Copperhead has participated in?
Oh, man, I did not think you'd be asking the hard-hitting questions here.
I'm sorry, we've been temporarily serious.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I'd have to think about it, but I guess maybe. I think Gruff is probably my favorite, and I think Gruff is my favorite for a couple reasons. One, because I drove it, and I drove it with intermittent drive, which made it all that more chaotic. I also like the Gruff fight because of what they did up against Tombstone. Everyone will remember the Tombstone and Gruff fight, and the fact that we were able to get a win out of them. It just shows how durable they are. But definitely a close second is this fight. I just wish our drive wouldn't have been damaged on that very first hit. Then it would have absolutely been my favorite.
Dale was very salty about the Gruff fight.
Oh, yeah? Which one?
Your fight with Gruff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? What's your beef?
I just felt like the decision went in the wrong way. Only just, but yeah.
I get you. So the interesting thing about that Gruff fight was towards the end of the match, I didn't have the good photos or anything to show, but the whole left side of Gruff was completely smashed in. And there was another point where the drum connected to the side rail and it pulled out every single bolt that was holding their wheels on.
Oh,
so
wow.
the wheels were literally just dangling on one side and their forks were just completely mangled. So if you kind of, if you were there and you looked at both bots, Gruff was really, really messed up. So I think that's what ended up happening with the judge's decision.
What I'm taking from this for Dale is fork you, Dale. It was a really good win for Copperhead. Ah.
No, I mean, we won. So, Dale, you can have whatever opinion you want, but you know what? We won. So you're just going to have to deal with that.
No, I wouldn't accept it. Fair enough.
Okay, so we'll move on to what was sort of the main event, but wasn't really made out to be the main event. It was just the last fight. But the main event sort of thing is Minotaur versus Cobalt, which went to the judges. I would like to wholeheartedly welcome Cobalt to the Bits of My Robot Broke the Arena Club, because Cobalt and I have now both taken out arena lights at the hands of spinners. Maybe it was payback for getting stuck on the floor against Dark. It was like, you know what? fuck your arena. But very close match, but I think the right decision was made. Would you agree with that, Robert?
Oh yeah, I think this was the right decision. Another tough call, right? Because Cobalt still worked at the end. So this is another example of where the rules don't apply cleanly, right? Because technically speaking, Minotaur's weapon went down. They both kind of did a little damage back and forth, but ultimately I think Minotaur should have won because they definitely controlled it. They were aggressive and they did damage. So they really kind of had at least 2 out of the 3 categories, no question. So yeah, I think it was a good call.
Dale, I suspect that you have a terrible joke in store for this fight. So I would like you to give you the opportunity to make that.
To be honest, I haven't really got much to say about it. Just some light damage. That's what it was. Yeah.
I knew it.
Oh, you know me too well. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. It just one. Well, it's a shame that that big hit didn't really get caught later on in the fight because Cobalt went up a high distance.
Oh yeah, and the camera didn't keep up with it, didn't it?
Yeah. And even in the replay, I was disappointed that there wasn't another angle to catch.
Right. Maybe one of the good photographers caught it, and we'll see it later.
Hope so. Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, obviously that one big hit and Minotaur won basically. Well, yeah.
And there we go. Right, we are going to very briefly, because we now know who the top 16 are, so we're going to briefly touch on the top 16. The lineup is Bite Force, Black Dragon, Death Roll, Hydra, Sawblaze, Tombstone, Whiplash, Witch Doctor, Quantum, Yeti, Lockjaw, Huge, Uppercut, Blacksmith, Son of Wayarchie, and Minotaur. So, for those of us who know the result, we're going to pretend we don't, and we are going to give some predictions. So, Dale doesn't know the result, so his will be a more educated guess as a fan. But, Robert, if you didn't know who was going to be taking the giant nut home, who would you fancy out of the top 16?
Without even hesitating, Bite Force. I mean, the worst we've seen out of Bite Force is one wheel got locked up and he was crab walking once in the last, 3 years? So, I don't know. If you had money and someone put a gun to your head and said, put money on a bot, who would you put money on? Bite Force.
Fair enough. I think I would like to give a shot at Death Roll because it's really impressed me so much this season and it's looking scary. And for me, it's not just looking really scary, it's looking really tanky as well. I will use its fight against Endgame to elaborate on this because it took some serious hits from Endgame and was still going at pretty much full capacity. Like it literally just kind of brushed it off and went meh, and then come at me again, bro. And so yeah, it's super impressed me this season. And another one that has really impressed me this season is Witch Doctor. It's like they've just really got it fine-tuned this season, and they are a serious force to be reckoned with. So it would be a very tough decision for me between Death Roll and Witch Doctor. What about you, Dale?
I really can't pick because I'm going to narrow it down to a vertical spinner.
Okay.
So, I know it's still about 5 or 6. But yeah, White Falls, Black Dragon, Death Roll, Witch Doctor, Lockjaw, one of those. Uppercut maybe.
One of those might win. You could maybe give some flipper love and put some faith in Hydra.
I mean maybe, but I just feel like a spinner is going to win it. The damage is going to win over the flippers.
Spin to win, baby. So we move on to the Shuntposting Awards. And first up, as usual, we have the John Reed Good Hit of the Night Award. We have 3 nominations for this one. First up, we have Cobalt's Wedgelet punishing the arena, Bloodsport going out of the arena, and Copperhead going out of the arena. So, Robert, which one would you like to vote for? Voting for yourself is permitted.
This is tough. See, I thought you were going to have Cobalt just going up into orbit for a few seconds and coming back. I thought you were going to have that on the list.
It was a tough decision, but we try not to give two robots a nomination for each award, and it did break the arena. And as someone else who has broken the arena, I felt I should go with that one.
You know, as much as I want to vote for myself because I love doing that, I'm going to go with Cobalt's front wedge because that thing cannot be that heavy. And so I'm just thinking of how fast it had to be traveling to break off, hit the ceiling, and take down more than what it was. I mean, it took down a panel larger than itself. So I think that's impressive.
I do too. What about you, Dale?
I'm going to have to say Copperhead. That was too good of a hit.
Oh, it was. I'm very torn now because I feel a certain loyalty to arena smashing robots, of which Cobalt is now one. However, the splatted Copperhead was amazing. Oh dear, oh dear. I will go with a fellow Brit. I think I will go with Cobalt Wedgelet punishing the arena. So congratulations, Cobalt!
Yay.
Your Wedgelet wins the Good Hit of the Night award. Technically, we should give it to Minotaur because Minotaur caused it, but fuck Minotaur. It's you know.
It's in a top 16. It's already won.
I'm sure Minotaur's going to win some Good Hit awards in the future, and I'm sure it already has won one actually. But there we go. So on to the Salt Powered Robot Award. We have 2 nominations for this one. Firstly, we have Railgun Max being in the Rumble. Now, this is because I have picked up, using my investigatory powers on social media, I've picked up on Facebook and Reddit that people are angry that Railgun Max was in a Rumble, given its win-loss record. So there are people who are very salty about it being in that Rumble, and because it didn't win the Rumble. And also, we have a nomination for Al Kindle winning a judge's decision, because my goodness, Al Kindle won a judge's decision. So, Dale, I'll come to you first on this one. Who would you like to vote for?
I'll have to give it to Al Kindle because it's Al Kindle.
Giving him some love back.
Yeah.
No. Robert, who would you like to cast your vote for?
I'm going to go with Railgun Max. They were entertaining in every one of their fights. And I'm not saying the Blacksmith isn't entertaining, but they really, for a new team showing up, I think they really deserve to be in the top 16. So I'm going Railgun Max.
I think I would agree with you. And also, Al Kindle has racked up quite a few Shuntposting awards since we started with this season. I think actually he has quite a few. Or having said that, Railgun Max has a couple as well. I have to say one last thing before I say congratulations. I shall say, when I say Elaine, you say woo, Elaine.
Woo!
Oh dear. Thank you, Wee Woo, for this line. It will be recycled a lot. So I'm giving my nomination to Railgun Max as well. So congratulations, Railgun Max.
Yay.
You win the Salt Powered Robot Award for episode 14. And that leaves us with the Shunty McShuntpost Award. We have 3 nominations for this one. We have The Rakening, we have Al Kindle's Face, and we have Snake! So, Robert, I'll come to you first. Who would you give the Shunty McShuntpost Award to?
So let's see. We've got The Rake. What was the other one?
Al Kindle's Face and The Snake.
I feel like Al Kindle's Face has had enough. Yeah, I think it's had enough. I'm gonna go with the Snake. I love that snake.
That's a tough one because it breaks and it's also Al Kindle's Face and it's also Snake.
Rakes and Snakes and Al Kindle's Face. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like a B movie.
I mean, he did smile. So, do I give it to Al again? But it's Rakes.
Will hasn't had a Shuntposting award yet. I don't think.
Point. Probably not. I'm gonna give it to Rakes. Yes.
Yay! I out of loyalty to Will, because I have harassed him and memed him. We've put him in a mankini,
Yeah.
and I did get my Hypershock shirt at filming.
Yeah.
So we'll go with the rakening. So congratulations, Will and Hypershock. Woo! You and your rake win the Shunty McShunt Post Award. And I still want my jacket. So on to the members' questions section. Are you ready for this, Robert?
Oh man, I think so.
Okay, your first question is a quick game of beat, defeat, judges. So this is a bit like Snog, Marry, Avoid, but it's a robot that you beat, a robot that defeats you, or a robot that goes to the judges. Your three robots are Shatter, Railgun Max, and Death Roll.
Gotcha. So Shatter. So you're talking Copperhead, right?
We're talking Copperhead.
Yeah. Shatter is going to be a defeat. I definitely think Shatter is going to be a defeat. Death Roll is going to be a... Let me get that right. We beat Shatter. Okay. Death Roll beats us. And what was the third one?
Railgun Max goes to the judges.
Yeah, Railgun goes to the judges for sure.
Next question. What's your beard maintenance routine?
Beard maintenance routine is very simple, just heavy power tool usage. That's really all that you need to keep a full beard, is just make sure that at least once, twice, hopefully 3 times a week that you're using some sort of power tool, and you should be good.
Are we talking an angle grinder or a jigsaw here?
A jigsaw, if you're doing a jigsaw, I would definitely recommend 3, possibly even 4. Maybe you get home from work and you do a little bit of jigsawing. But if you're going to do an angle grinder, I think you can cut that down to twice a week.
Well, there we go. The angle grinder is the way to go. So on to a slightly more sensible question. How do you think a 250-pound crippling depression would fare if it was in this season?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Because right behind me, I have some pieces for maybe something similar, but we won't go into that. I think a crippling depression could fare relatively well. There's a lot of variables here, but a more modular version of a crippling depression that has more attachments on the front and back, I think it could actually do relatively well. Yeah.
Was the soup nice?
Was this? Oh, the soup was lovely. It had a little bit too much snake. The snake turned out a little bit chewy, but other than that, the soup was just gorgeous.
Whoa, wait. Hold up. You ate the snake?
What? Have you been not watching this season at all?
I thought the snake was this nice pet that you've been using to help you with the button pressing, because that's a very difficult task, and I'm not sure how to take this information.
Everything's a pet until you cook it.
Sarah.exe has stopped working. Wow. Snakes. I was not expecting that answer. I'm having a moment here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to move on. I'm distraught. Question 5.
Promise me you won't eat Nelly, Sarah.
I will not eat Nelly, Dale.
Oh,
I promise you, I will never eat Nelly. I am not a pachydermist. Or pachydermivore. I'm sorry. I'm not a pachydermivore. There we go. So, question 5, Robert. Did you design Copperhead around the name, or did you name it after building it?
Ooh, good question. It was actually named afterwards. On my computer, the folder for Copperhead is actually named Hornet.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Wasps are absolute bastards, so I'm glad you didn't go with that.
I mean, that would have been fitting, right? I mean, with the sound of Copperhead and the look of it, Hornet actually would have been quite fitting, and it had a pretty attractive logo as well.
I like the sound of it, but I have to say I prefer how it came out. I like the Copperhead thing. I like the snake thing. I don't like that you ate the snake. Sad about this. Dale, go to the next one, please.
Yes, question 6. Apart from Copperhead, who is your favourite animal-themed robot?
Ooh, favorite animal-themed robot. This is a tough one. Can I pick more than one?
Ooh, you can if you explain your reasoning.
Okay.
And as long as one of them's Nelly.
So it's not an unknown fact that I absolutely love Duck. Duck is probably one of my favorite robots. Whenever I build a bot, I don't really focus on winning as much as I like the engineering challenge and I like the design challenge of it. I actually get less and less interested with every robot the further along I go in the process. So I really like the design and the concept. So for Duck, Duck is one of my favorite robots, period. I love the look. I love the industrial design of it. I absolutely love Duck. On the other end of the spectrum, I love Death Roll for the exact opposite reasons, because it's just nasty. It's just a nasty bot. And so I like both of those for complete opposite reasons.
That's a very fair answer. But we're very disappointed that you didn't at least give an honourable mention to Nelly, because we're not biased at all here on the Shuntcast.
I mean, I didn't include Copperhead. But you said aside from Copperhead.
We did say apart from Copperhead, because we're nice like that.
This is true.
So our next question is from our Russian agent Rara, and I have to put on the voice for this. Spin is so small, but do the big damage. How is small Spin so strong? Need know for KGB reasons.
That's a good question. The drum is really heavy. It's a big drum, and even though it's relatively small, it spins very, very fast. So I think it just comes down to speed. And yeah, the drum and all the bearings is about 60 pounds. So, you fling around 60 pounds of metal, it's going to do some damage.
Is it made of copper?
Absolutely not. The drum, both of the drums are made of solid S7. It was actually billet machined, so that was all out of a huge, I think it was like 150-pound block of S7 that it started out as.
Could you explain what that is? Because most of our listeners are fans, not roboteers, and they might not know what that is.
Oh, completely. So billet just basically means that is a solid brick. So think of it as just a large rectangular brick. And there was a CNC milling machine that machined the profile or machined the drum out of it, much like someone would sculpt stone or carve stone. And yeah, just cut that down to the final size of about 50 pounds.
What's S7 for listeners who might not know what that is?
Yeah, S7 is a tool steel. So tool steels are generally a steel that can be hardened, and they're very hard. They tend to be relatively brittle, so when they hit something, they tend to crack. But S7 is a very specific type of tool steel that actually is not prone to cracking, and it's an impact-resistant steel. So it's made specifically for sudden shock and impact.
Well, there you go, Agent Rara. We hope that answers your question.
Yes. Anyway, question 8. Have you ever met a real copperhead snake?
No, I haven't. I mean, Copperhead is about as real as they come, but no, I've actually never met a Copperhead.
Question 9. If all of the drum spinners were in the arena at once, who would win?
The one that hides in the corner the longest?
The one that does an eruption, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be Minotaur, right? It's always going to be Minotaur. They have the longest track record.
Where did you get the snake on the staff from?
So that was Zach's mom came up with that. We sent all the design files for Copperhead over to Zach, and he forwarded those on to his mom. And if you look in the audience, all of the signs, all of the little fans, all of that stuff was actually Zach's mother, which is so insanely wholesome. But she paper machéd that staff, the snake staff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was all paper
That
mache.
takes some patience.
Mm-hmm.
Aww, Mummy Copperhead is lovely. There we go.
Yeah.
A big round of applause for Mummy Copperhead.
Yay.
There we go. Well, Robert, that is the end of the questions section, and I'm afraid, ladies and gentlebots, it's the end of the Shuntcast.
Aww.
Well, Robert, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We hope we haven't traumatized you too much.
Oh, not at all. It was awesome.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlebots, it's goodbye from Dale.
Bye-bye.
It's goodbye from Robert Cowan.
Bye-bye.
And it's goodbye from the Queen. Goodbye.